Hey everyone, welcome to the next instalment of our publishing series. So we've been looking at all the different ways that we publish. Now this one's getting probably pretty technical in the way that we're setting this up, but the idea is that we want to be able to use the command line and the Windows task scheduler to be able to set up our print jobs to run automatically. Now there are a lot of different options here that we're going to be looking at, so probably way too many to cover in the time that we've got together in this session. Yeah, please do, if there's things that you're looking at or things don't seem right, just make sure you do let us know and we can help you get those things set up. You know, full disclosure, this is a fairly new feature that we've added, and there's been a lot of kinks that we've had to iron out. And again, because there are so many different combinations that can be used, it is possible that, you know, what you're trying to do may not work. Again, please let us know straight away, and if there is something like that, we'll get that fixed. But let's go and have a look. Now, one of the first things I think we'll do is we'll jump over to the knowledge base. So when you go to help.optuma.com, you can go to the knowledge base section here, and we can just come along and type in command line. And that'll bring us up to the first option. There's command line printing, and we can see all the options that are available. Now, as you go down here, and we'll quickly run through all of these, but you can see that there's lots and lots of options that you could be using here. And so, yeah, it's just an absolute playground of settings that you can work with. And we'll explain exactly how you set all of that up in a minute, but I just wanted to quickly go through these options while we've got this screen in front of us here. So obviously print, we're going to, whatever we're sending to the command line, we're telling it, okay, we want to print all of this information to a PDF file. So that's what the print's for. I could send the charts to PNG images or JPEG or GIF or EMF. So we're creating image files of the charts. So maybe you've got a website, for instance, or you just want the image files created. You don't want a PDF necessarily. You can use those other options to create those image files, have them created in a folder, and then be able to pick them up and do whatever you need to do with them. CSV, this one allows you to output the results of a watch list. So for instance, let's say you've got a watch list full of technical analysis columns, and you want to go through and have that create a CSV file on a daily basis so you can pick it up and do some other processing in Excel, you know, whatever needs to be done. This is the option you would use for that, where you're telling it that you want it to go out to CSV. All right, PPP, PDF per page. So typically when we print a workbook, let's say, and there's 10 pages in it, we're going to create one PDF with all of those 10 pages in it. The PPP option will then create separate PDFs for each page. And so you can do that. Now, WB means user supplied workbook. So that's saying I want to print my workbook, and you specify the name of the workbook exactly as it is in Optuma. Symbol list, maybe what you want to do instead is use a symbol list. Now, we can actually also do scans and things like that. So we could have a symbol list linked to a scan, and then what Optuma is going to do is go and update that scan first, bring the results in as your symbol list, and then you can print out all the charts of it. So, you know, one of the great ways of being able to do this is, for instance, maybe you've got a facility where you can set this up and email the results to yourself. Well, you can have this set up so that it'll run the scan overnight, create all the charts for a veritable chart book, and then email that through to you. So on your way into the office in the morning, you can go through all of those charts that are available there. All right, so symbol list, workbook, portrait, landscape, you can choose the layout of the pages that are being created in that way. LO is for chart layout. So you remember we've got chart layouts and page layouts. You can use all of that, and both of those are supplied there. The out option allows us to choose where we want the output to be. And you can use some of the Windows directives like desktop and my documents and things like that. Clean, it just removes folders. Removes the footer from PDFs. If this is more for when you're doubling up and doing things like that, you may want to get rid of the normal footer if that gets in the way. And so you can do something like that. Index, when you've got lots and lots of pages, so let's say you've got 100 stocks in your portfolio and you are printing all of that out, you may want to create an index page. And so you just put in the index and you can then do that. Now the next few options are all about the styling of the index, so the font size and the exactly how you're going to set it all up. So you can work with those settings as well. It's going to be a lot of experimentation with all of this. Scan, again, we can run a scan, and again, the results of that will just go straight into being used in our result. And then we've got new process. So when we run a command line, if we've already got Optuma open, as you'll know, you can't actually have two versions of Optuma running at the same time because of the way that we use resources and particularly the graphics and the screens. Now with offline publishing like this, that's not so much of a limitation. So what we have is this new process flag, which means that you can continue working away with the main version of Optuma that you're using on your desktop, and another instance will start up and use one of the other CPUs on your system and run that way and get all the data and create all the PDFs and everything, and just do all of that in the background. So adding new process does that. If you didn't add new process, what would happen is that your copy of Optuma would stall. You'd see the hourglass timer showing up. In the bottom left-hand corner, you will see the progress where it's saying, oh, I'm printing one of 500 pages. And then you would just have to wait for that job to be finished before you could continue using Optuma. No title. You can hide the title bar if you don't want the title on the charts. Limit with the number of symbols. This is particularly useful when you are just practicing and getting used to setting up your own command line. Instead of printing out the whole S&P 500, what you can do is say, right, while I'm testing this, let me put a limit 10 on there, and then only the first 10 tickers will print out. And so it just lets you set up, make sure that everything's okay before you commit possibly an hour for this to go and do the whole S&P 500 and create a PDF like that. In actual fact, an S&P 500, you know, sometimes it can take about 10 minutes. But if you're getting into the Russell 3000 and things like that, well, it does increase. It's not just, you know, the Russell 3000 isn't just 6 times longer than the S&P 500 because of the way it has to manage the memory. So it can take a bit longer. A few other things there. Stitch, pretty advanced thing of being able to link header pages and footer pages. Look, if you've got really complex printing requirements and you want to know more about that, just let us know and we can help you with that. It's it requires a very sophisticated command line, but yeah, contact us at support and you know, we can talk a bit more about that and what you're trying to do and whether that makes sense. I just wanted to highlight that we can do that. The Optex reports that we produce automatically use this command. Then we've got Word, PowerPoint, email, all those options. Now email, it's Outlook that it works with. So if you've got Outlook on your system, you can run this, have it create a PDF, have it send it all off to the Outlook and send that email to you. Web publishing to web. So we're working on that. Not fully complete as of recording this, so I'm not going to show it now, but you've seen how we publish to web and all of that should work. And 2UP is a way that you can put 2 pages together. So if I've got 500 charts that I'm going to be putting out, what I can do is say, well, they're all going to be individual charts, but instead of having them all as landscape, I want to have these ones as 2 landscape charts on a portrait page. And so I can do that one as well. All right, so that's all the options that we've got there, and I'm sure that as people come to us with suggestions and ideas of what they want to achieve, this is going to continue to grow. So do come back to this knowledge base article for that. But let's dig in and say, okay, how are we going to build a command line of our own? Now, where you run all of this from is the task scheduler in Windows. So what we can do is we just click on the Start button in Windows and we can go Task Scheduler and hit Enter on that. Now, if this is going to be something you're going to do a lot, you may want to come down here and just pin this to your taskbar so you've got that available. I like to keep things nice and clean. So what I would suggest is up in the Task Scheduler here, right-click, let's create a new folder and call it Optuma. And that way, if you've got any other tasks that you want to add, you can do that. We may look to see if there's a way that from Optuma we can automatically add tasks into here, but for now, this is the best way to get that done. So we can go to Optuma, right-click on that and say, let's create a basic task. And up will come a wizard. So I've got a symbol list of the spider sectors, XLF, etc. So what I want to do is print that one out. So I'm just going to say that my task name is going to be print spider sectors, and I could give it a description, but I don't need to. When do I want it to start? You can choose all the times there. I'm just going to say daily. I want this to run start, what's the 21st? Yeah, I want this to run after I know that the data's come in. So I'm on Eastern Standard Time in the US. So I'm going to say, let's make this, I'm not in any hurry, so I'm going to make it 19 o'clock or 7 p.m. And that'll be fine. I want it to recur every day. Synchronize across time zones. I actually have no idea what that means, so we're just going to leave that blank. We don't need that. Let's just go next. What type of action? Start a program is what we want to do. So we're going to go next again. And now we want to get the program. Now, where your copy of Optuma actually lives may be a little bit different depending on whether you've installed from the zip file in heavy IT controlled environments or you've just used the standard installer. If it's most likely, if you've used a standard installer, it's going to be Program Files Optuma. If you use the zip file, it may be under the C drive, so C Optuma. My one is in Program Files Optuma 64. That's just where I've set mine up. So all I need to do is find optuma.exe and double click on that, and it sets that as the program that's going to be run. So whenever we do this, we specify the program and then we specify the arguments, and that's what we need to look at now. So what we'll do is we'll go through and set up these arguments and put them all together. So we come along here. Now, what I prefer to do is use something like Notepad, just because it's much easier. You can see that in this task wizard, we've only got a very small amount of space to write this, and our command lines can get very long. So in the great TV tradition, here's one that I prepared earlier. So what I've done is I've said I'm going to print, I want to print my symbol list, which is named spider sectors. Let's just jump in here, and I just want to go here, symbol lists. You can see here spider sectors that I've got there. Let me just close that and jump back to Notepad. I want to use the layout called Gantt swing. So let me just bring up XLF, and I'm going to use the layout here, Gantt swing. And so this is how this one looks, what this one looks like. Looks like I was doing some testing on weekly swing charts and things like that on a daily chart, trying to look at when swings were up and things like that, plus Optex bands, plus MACD. So I was doing a lot of things with that layout, but it's just great to use as a test for what we're doing. All right, output. I want to send my output to my desktop, but a publish folder inside my desktop. And so that's what I'm doing there with that one. And we'll include this command line in the information when we post this as a video so that you can see all of that. So let me just grab all of that and we'll copy that and let's go to our task. And I'm just going to paste all of that in here using Control V. And that's all in. Then we can go next on that. Looking at the details, do I want to open the properties? No, no need. It's set for 7 p.m. every day and that's it, finish. So it's done. So in my Optuma folder now, I've got this task, print spider sectors, and that's ready to go. So the status here you can see is ready. And so we could wait for 7 o'clock to come around. We can do some other settings which may be useful depending on your the way you set up your machine. Now, if you put your computer to sleep, these tasks can actually wake your computer up. If you turn your computer off, well then there's nothing, it won't come back and be able to do that. But you can come down here to the bottom. What we need to do is double click on it to get to the properties. And in general, I can say, look, I want to run whether I'm logged in or not. I want to run with the highest privileges and do not store the password. No, we need to store the password. So if I hit OK with that, it's coming up asking me for my password. So we can just put that in. And so now this task has all the rights that it needs to be able to start my computer up and actually run that task in the middle of the night. So, you know, again, that whole idea of trying to get some of these jobs done, you know, the data's going to be there, so we may as well get the computer working at night while we're not using it. All right, so let's just come along here and hit run on this. Now, I've not sent this to the background, so what we should see is in a moment this start up using Optuma resources. We're just going to pause while we wait for that to happen. Okay, so that's run for a little bit. It takes sometimes a little bit of time to get these to work, and you don't always get notifications just for the way that the processes are interacting. But when I go to the folder on my desktop, you can see that I've got this spider sectors. And so if we double click on that, here is the PDF with my spider sectors all using that layout. So you can see how simple that is. You know, well, simple. It is a little bit of setting up, but the beauty is that these then get created for you automatically without you having to worry about going in there and setting them all up. Now, one other thing that we can do, which is really handy, is up in the taskbar here, or the toolbar, we can actually add printing commands as well. So you can hit the plus sign, go down to print command, and I could give this a label and say, again, print spider sectors. And then I could even have a shortcut, you know, I just go to this field and say Control Shift P. No, must be using that already. Control P, no, using that one too. There we go. Control Shift O is what we can use for this one. So I've got that available. And then I've got my print command. Now the print command here just uses the exact same settings as the command line. So I can go back to my notepad and let's just grab all of these here and put them into here. Right click on that again and go to print command and paste that in. And let's just give that button a different color there. All right, so I've got that there. Anytime I want to print out that report, I can just come along here and just hit the button and it'll start printing that out. Now, obviously, this will work in this instance of Optuma. You can see the progress meter going down there, printing page 1, 2, we'll just let that go. Obviously a lot faster because it doesn't need to start up the whole Optuma infrastructure to do the job. The job's getting done within the running process. So that's probably done. So what we're going to do, let's just jump back to the folder. Now you can see that it used my layout name as the name of the output. Similarly, it would have, if I had a workbook, it would have used the workbook name .pdf. Because that file already existed, it actually then just prepended in the, appended in the date and time into the file name as well. So it's going to be the latest one is the one that's been created there. So we double click on that and there it is there, exactly the same. So hopefully you can see some of the flexibility, some of the power. Obviously, as I said, there is so many options here. You know, we can go to web, we can go to Word, we can go to PowerPoint. If you're using Outlook, we can go to email. And these are all different things. So my hope with this video or this webinar is to really give you a really good glimpse of some of the different things you can do and just sort of make you aware of the power of the command line printing. And how you can set that up. Remember in previous sessions we talked about how you could have a page layout with 6 charts and use different coloured diamonds on each. Well, all of that works here with command line as well. Just select the page layout using the PL command line option and you can print them out that way as well. Remember the limit option where you can say, look, I just want to do this with a couple of pages to make sure that I've got it all right before I keep going there. And also, you know, often what I would actually really strongly recommend is that new process command line. I think when you add that option in, it doesn't interfere with the running Optuma. It means that you can have these jobs just running away in the background and it doesn't affect what you're working on at that time. So a couple of things there. Hope that really helps with publishing and you can see the power. Now remember, now publishing like this is part of the professional services, but for those who aren't on professional services, it is available as an add-on module. So you can go to the store at the optuma.com website and have a look at that, and you can add that into your own copy of Optuma if this is something that you need to do. Thanks again. Next week we're going to be talking more about some of the more statistical features in Optuma, especially the regression analysis chart and the frequency distribution chart. These are all things that have come out of the the signal testing and the real strong statistical approach that we want to put into how we do analysis at Optuma and how we test ideas and how we look at things like distribution of returns and things like that. So look forward to that one and we'll see you next time. Thank you.